For this story, we need to travel back in time to the late 1990s. It's January 4th, 1997. WWE, known then as WWF, is in trouble. Ted Turner's WCW is dominating with the NWO, ratings are slipping, Heyman's ECW has gained a cult following on the East Coast, and the company needs an edgier feel in order to compete with their rivals. Vince McMahon's solution? A midnight wrestling show aimed at adults. Shotgun Saturday Night was born as a live 60-minute show airing on Saturday nights, filmed right in the heart of New York City. Instead of arenas, episodes took place in nightclubs like the Mirage, the All-Star Café, and Penn Station, giving a more authentic, almost independent wrestling feel to the shows, bringing the WWF larger-than-life superstars such as Triple H, The Rock, and The Undertaker closer to the common man than ever before. With the caution tape ring skirt, a smaller ring, and iconic yellow ropes, this show was very unique and something refreshing, especially following the copy and paste, repetitive format of the 70s and 80s in the WWF. The Fed had introduced Raw, their now premier flagship show, a few years prior in 1993. However, we're still struggling to match the levels of drama and car crash television offered by their rivals WCW. Shotgun was arguably the start of what would become WWE's Attitude Era, a 5-year stretch of some of the most risque, raunchy, violent, and crazy wrestling fused with reality TV, from the time of 1997 to 2002. And no one can really argue that this was the Federation's most successful era of pro wrestling, even topping the Hogan era from a decade prior. The Attitude Era didn't officially kick off until late 1997, with the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Montreal Screwjob in November of 97, and the more adult-oriented direction that followed. So to have a show that predated the company's most successful era, why is WWF Saturday Night Shotgun rarely referenced as a pivotal turning point in the Fed's Attitude Era success? Let's take a look and see if we can answer that very question by delving into the archives of Saturday Night Shotgun. Despite being the brainchild of Vince McMahon, there was a number of names involved in carrying out Saturday Night Shotgun. Bruce Pritchard was largely in charge of creative, helping to produce the early days of the show. Kevin Dunn was an executive producer who oversaw the unique handheld camera look and live production setup. Jim Cornette also helped with creative, referencing the show as Vince's attempt to, quote, do something wild for the New York crowd, end quote. And Todd Pettengill and Sonny were also chosen as the show's hosts, due to them fitting the MTV meets wrestling aesthetic that owner Vince McMahon wanted. On Bruce Pritchard's Something to Wrestle podcast, he recalled, quote, it was Vince's idea to take wrestling out of the arenas and into the streets, to make it feel dangerous and cool again. We were testing what we could get away with at midnight, end quote. I think the main reason Saturday Night Shotgun is hardly mentioned or discussed is due to the fact it was largely a project more than a mainstay wrestling program. Introduced with the intention of testing the waters to see what they could get away with, as well as what the fans thought of the product. Shotgun was one of Vince McMahon's many bold plays during the late 90s, but was far from the most successful. This show was nothing like Monday Night Raw. The cameras were handheld, the crowd was rowdy and drunk adults, and the wrestlers were told to push the boundaries at every opportunity. Another reason Shotgun didn't get the credit it probably deserves is that despite premiering on January 4th of 1997, live from the Mirage nightclub in New York City, after the first 6 tapings, the show was moved to a larger arena venues. Losing the appeal of the seedy, edgy, nightclub vibe the original show format was trying to convey to the viewer. Starting around February 22nd of 1997, Shotgun began taping in arenas before or after tapings of Raw and WWF Superstars, just like any other syndicated show, leaving the show without its original New York City presentation. The main reasons behind this included production in smaller venues such as nightclubs being too expensive and a logistical nightmare for the promotion, smaller audiences meaning less revenue, as well as the show's time slot often being at odd hours of the night, sometimes as early as 1 AM local time. WWF Shotgun didn't air on one single national network like USA Network or Fox. Instead, it was a syndicated program, meaning different local TV stations across the US carried it at various times, making it hard to follow from a viewer's perspective, and of course, affecting the show's weekly viewership. In New York City, for example, it aired on WPIX Channel 11, and in LA, Shotgun aired on KCOP TV. This was a common approach for wrestling shows in the 80s and 90s, similar to how WWF Superstars and WWF Wrestling Challenge aired in syndication before cable became prominent. Some local TV stations were also uncomfortable with the show's risque content, especially with the likes of Goldust and Marlena's segments, and either delayed the show or simply dropped it entirely. After Shotgun's move to arena shows, the show lost its overall gritty feel, and immediately became just another show, lost to the annals of time. But it is absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, a huge component in the birth of the WWF Attitude Era. Vince used this show as a testing ground for a more gritty, edgier product, with some of the more risque characters like Sonny and Goldust given a blank canvas to create what made them so popular in the years to come. By 1998, the show became nothing more than mid-card matchups, promos hyping the next upcoming pay-per-views, and the occasional recap of their flagship show, Monday Night Raw. And it wasn't long before Saturday Night Shotgun was lost in the shuffle with some of the other B-level WWF shows of the time, alongside Sunday Night Heat, Metal, and Jacked. So Shotgun was redundant. There simply wasn't room for another filler program in the WWF. With the Attitude Era in full swing and SmackDown debuting in August of 1999, Shotgun Saturday Night was quietly phased out in around mid-1999. Most local markets replaced it with WWF Jacked for US syndication or WWF Metal for international syndication. There was no big farewell or storyline explanation as to why Shotgun was no longer on TV. It just simply disappeared from schedules, fading into relative obscurity and into the WWE's archives, before it was truly given a chance to thrive. A pivotal turning point in the WWF's success, and arguably the starting point of the Attitude Era. The tone and feel of the show was exactly what the company wanted, just on a larger scale. They would eventually get this, of course, due to the Montreal Screwjob, as well as the meteoric rise of The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin during the Attitude Era. But alas, in mid-1999, Shotgun was ultimately shot down. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please make sure to like and subscribe and share the video. I'd love to hear what you guys want to see next in the comments, so please leave them below. That's all for me for this one. Until next time, Empire out.